It's that time again. It's time for another 5 Things Friday. I'm so excited that you're with me on this Friday, as this week it's another reader questions edition. I'm going to be answering burning questions from readers about the Bake Shop mystery, such as, is Richard Lord real? And does Jules have a favorite song? Want to know? They're coming right at ya. I'm excited to share 5 reader questions for the Bake Shop Mysteries. I love getting reader email, and some of these questions are questions that I have received often from many readers, so I figured they would be good questions to tackle this week. So let's get right into it. Number 1, is Ashland really as idyllic as you describe it in the Bake Shop Mysteries? Yes, a resounding yes, 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 and yes. Ashland is my muse. It's nestled in the Siskiyou Mountains. Did you know that's how you say it? If you've seen Siskiyou in the books, have you been like, how do you pronounce that? It's kind of like Oregon. It's not Oregon, it's Oregon. Oregon. Anyway, Ashland is nestled in the mountains. So you have these beautiful evergreen forests on one side of the valley, and then on the opposite side, sepia-toned hills that remind you of the countryside in Spain or anywhere in the Mediterranean. It's drenched with sun. It gets more sun than any other spot in Oregon, I think. And the town itself is just warm and welcoming. It is themed like an Elizabethan village on a smaller scale maybe than what I use as Jules' version of Ashland. But the people here are equally warm and welcoming. And I think that's because there's not a lot of industry in Ashland. You have obviously the Shakespeare Festival and Southern Oregon University, but aside from that, there's not really like big business or industry here. So I think a lot of people who make a choice to move to Ashland make a conscious choice. And therefore there's kind of this influx of people from all over the world. And so that creates a real sense of community, and it's just beautiful. So come visit. Okay. Number 2, how do you create the recipes for the Bake Shop Mysteries? Ooh, okay, well, it's a little bit of a process. Usually it goes something like this. I write every first draft straight through, start to finish. I don't stop, I don't edit along the way. I might make notes. So as I'm writing, it's sort of whatever's top of my mind. I might be writing and think, ooh, a lime mint cupcake sounds delicious, so that goes in the books. Sometimes I might have an idea of exactly what I'm wanting to bake, especially for the new holiday book that's coming out later this year. I already had some family favorite holiday recipes in mind, but usually as I'm writing, it'll just be top of my head. Whatever comes to mind goes on the page. And then when I go back and make edits, I go through and I think, what can I actually bake? What can I actually make myself and test and play around with? And then I'll experiment with a number of recipes. And because Jules and her team at Torte are constantly baking, there are so many recipes that don't actually make it into the pages of the book. And I probably get more reader email about recipes that Jules references than anything else, especially lime mint cupcakes. I think she makes those in Meet Your Baker, the first book, and I've never actually made them, so stay tuned. I test recipes in my home kitchen, so I probably will make a recipe 3 or 4 times and just make sure that I have it right and that it works and it turns out and I have the ratios right in terms of leavening agents and all that good stuff. So there is a lot of work that goes into it, but in terms of the actual recipes, sometimes it's just like, ooh, that sounds delicious. I think I'll try to bake that. Number 3, does Jules have a favorite song? She does. She has a number of favorite songs. I actually have a playlist created for Jules so that whenever I start a new book, I have a specific set of songs that kind of help me get into her head. It's a lot of romantic songs because she's sort of just like this ethereal romantic pastry chef. She listens to a lot of romantic songs. When I was writing Meet Your Baker initially, I would come out of my office at the end of the day of writing and just kind of be like, okay. And my husband was like, you gotta lay off the sad songs for a little while, but she's a romantic. With the help of my technically savvy young teenage son, I am going to share my Bake Shop Spotify playlist in the next week or so. So you can listen in to what Jules and I listen to while I'm writing. That'll be fun. Number 4. Andy is my favorite character. What was your inspiration for him? Oh, Andy. I love Andy so much. So in the new book that just came out, Live and Let Pie, Andy's taking a bit of center stage, so to speak. We're going to kind of follow his story arc a little bit, and I'm excited about that. My inspiration from Andy came from a barista. I have a coffee that is probably inspired by Andy. This is a cardamom latte. When I was newly married and just starting out my career, my husband and I bought our first house in Woodstock, which is a small, cute little neighborhood in Portland, Oregon. And there was a coffee shop, Pappuccino's, that was like 5 blocks from our house. So we would walk down to Pappuccino's with our dog, our first dog, Sophie, who was half lab, half golden retriever. It was like our Saturday morning ritual. We would walk to Pappuccino's, get a coffee, and then walk to the park and let our dog run free in the park. And there was this young barista. He was a student at Reed College, which is right down the hill. And he was just so funny and hilarious, but also just this total aficionado when it came to coffee. He knew his coffee. He knew this perfect balance of ratios in terms of like milk and flavor profiles. And he was this coffee wizard and clearly loved coffee and loved to share his knowledge, but not in a pretentious way, just in a truly wanting to expand everyone's palate sort of a way. And I had such a little crush on him because he was like this little coffee college kid. So he kind of became my inspiration from Andy. I don't know where he is now, but thanks, Pappuccino's guy. Number 5. This is definitely a question I get quite often. Richard Lord is vile. Please tell me he's not real. It's true, he is vile. He's not exactly real. That's the good news. But the bad news is he's sort of an amalgamation of a few people who I have had the displeasure of meeting or knowing over the years. He's kind of the combination of an early boss who I had and just sort of a few pieces of characters who I have run into in real life and thought, well, you know, I could work out some of these issues I'm having with you on the page, which is a really therapeutic way to exact your revenge with a pen. One of the things about writing Richard Lord is he's supposed to be vile. I think that's, for me, one of the best parts of the Bake Shop Mysteries because it's set in Ashland and Ashland is this artistic theater community. I get to play up on that drama a little bit more that maybe wouldn't work in another series. And Richard just gets to be a villain. I have thought about fleshing him out more and showing some tender sides. And I think there have been a few instances where he and Jules have found some minor moment of common ground and then it quickly evaporates. So I actually really enjoy writing him, and I always have a vision of him in his ridiculous plaid golf outfits that don't fit. As always, thanks so much for joining me for another 5 Things Friday. I would love to hear from you. What are your favorite recipes from the series, or what recipes are you dying for me to actually bake in my Torte Test Kitchen? I'm going to be sharing weekly Torte Test Kitchen videos where you will actually get to see me trying and testing recipes that I'm familiar with and brand new recipes, so that should be fun. But if there are specific recipes that you've read in the book that you've been wishing you could actually try, message me here because they could be in a Torte Test Kitchen video soon. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified whenever I upload new videos, and happy reading and baking.